I was chatting with a friend about awkward meeting moments, and she dropped this phrase, "The elephant in the room." It got me thinking, how often do we ignore something so big and obvious just because it's uncomfortable?
That image cracks me up, a massive elephant just standing there and everyone pretending it's invisible. The phrase really nails it though. It's about those problems so obvious, so hard to miss, but nobody wants to talk about them because it feels, well, awkward or risky.
Exactly. And I guess that's why the metaphor works so well. You can't exactly miss an elephant, right? But somehow, people still manage not to mention the thing everyone's tiptoeing around.
Totally. Sometimes it's almost comical how hard we'll work to avoid that big topic, even while it's basically taking up all the air in the room. That reminds me, do you know where this phrase actually comes from?
Funny you ask. Because I was surprised to learn the roots go all the way back to an old Russian story from 1814. Ivan Krylov wrote this fable about a man who visits a museum. He notices every little bug and butterfly, but completely misses the giant elephant on display.
What a perfect illustration. I love how the fable just exaggerates it, being so focused on tiny things that you're blind to the obvious. But I'm curious, when did it become the saying we use now?
It actually took a while. The phrase started popping up in English much later, but it really caught on in the mid-1900s. There's even a 1959 New York Times article that says, "School funding has become such an issue that it's like having an elephant in the living room."
So cool to see how the metaphor evolved from a Russian fairy tale all the way to modern headlines. Makes you wonder how many other idioms have traveled like that.
You know, it's one thing to know the story, but hearing how we use elephant in the room in everyday situations really brings it to life. Like, think about those work meetings where everyone dances around the real problem.
Meetings are classic. Everyone talks about new office chairs or coffee machines, even though sales are way down. Someone finally admits, no one's mentioning the terrible sales figures. It was the elephant in the room. I've definitely sat through meetings like that.
Right, and it's not just work. Imagine a family dinner where everyone knows the eldest son lost his job, but all the conversation is about the weather or TV. His job loss just hangs there, unspoken, the elephant in the room.
Family gatherings are full of those moments. Or even among friends, when two people keep picking little fights. But the real issue is money owed between them. They'll argue over who pays for pizza, but the actual elephant is that unpaid debt.
Thinking about it, I wonder, why do we let these elephants go unmentioned? If everyone knows what's wrong, what keeps us quiet?
It's usually embarrassment, or maybe fear of starting a fight. Sometimes, it's a social taboo or just that nobody wants to be the person who makes things uncomfortable. I've felt that hesitation myself at big family events.
Me too. There's always this tension, like, if you bring it up, you might upset someone or make things weird, but ignoring it just leaves everyone on edge.
Exactly. It's almost like the silence gets heavier the longer nobody addresses it, but that leads right into how powerful it can be when someone finally breaks the silence and names the elephant.
I love how the verb address pairs with the idiom address the elephant in the room. It takes guts, but sometimes one person just has to say it out loud, like, okay, let's talk about what's really going on.
That can totally change the mood, even if it's tense at first. Like in a meeting, when a manager finally says, "All right, everyone, let's address the elephant in the room. Our sales are down 40%. What are we going to do about it?" Suddenly, it's out in the open.
It's almost a relief sometimes. Sure, it might be uncomfortable at first, but at least you can actually start solving the problem instead of pretending it isn't there.
Absolutely, and it's a great reminder. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is just point at the elephant and start the conversation. That's where real progress usually begins.